Probably touch on 450s first since they were Moto #1.
Yeah, it's pretty weird how they alternate between that. Some weeks it's 250 first, some weeks it's 450 first. But to be honest, I've been loving the 250 class going first because we get to see those guys right out of the gate. That's what I'm most excited for.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder if they do it just for like maybe the fairness to the riders. That some days you get the nice early moto and the other days you get the second moto of the day. I can see that maybe being the reasoning of it, and kind of cool because I mean it's pro ranks in 250 and 450. So I don't know if they should really get any track favoritism one way or the other, depending on the class that they're in.
I wonder how much that plays into TV ratings. Like if people are staying longer in the show to watch the 250 class when they're Moto 2, or vice versa when the 450s are second after the 250 class.
Are the Lawrence brothers that good at starts, and or is the Honda CRF 450 that good at starts? Does Honda have some just maybe better starting program than everybody else, like maybe a better algorithm or something? It seems like that Honda just consistently gets out of the gate well.
Yeah, they seem to be having the magic wand over there. We got magic bolts over at HRC Honda. They're ripping starts like no other. So I wonder if they have like a magic map, something in the ECU. But yeah, I think it's a lot to do with both bike and rider because we see not only Jet just get great starts, we see Hunter get great starts as well. Something that we've seen in the 250 class, Chance Hymas has been ripping starts. I know Joe really hasn't been up there off the start, but then again, he's not necessarily a start kind of guy. He normally is more of like a diesel engine, kind of works his way up to speed throughout the moto and the season. But yeah, I think it is a bit of a both bike and rider over at HRC Honda.
Yeah, I mean, even Sexton got some pretty good starts when he was on the Honda.
Absolutely.
Back then as well. It seems Kenny gets good starts, kind of regardless what bike he's on.
Right.
But yeah, it just kind of made me wonder, man. Like, Honda is often the leader in having some very cutting edge technology, but also keeping it pretty hush for a long time.
Speaking of the HRC Honda boys, Hunter Lawrence went out there, did his thing, had some amazing lines. Hunter had an epic line down Mount Martin, kind of doubling over, using one of the braking bumps as a takeoff and landing on one of the sharper sections of the downhill. It was pretty incredible to see that.
Yeah, I think they highlighted that during the battle with Chase Sexton. And the way Hunter and Chase battle is the way I imagine that Hunter and his brother battle during the week, like in practice. I mean, it's so much fun to watch them go back and forth. It's kind of obvious that they know each other. It's cool that they're friends off the track as well, but on the track, they race each other quite hard. The pass that Sexton did on Hunter in the first moto could have just taken Hunter the fuck out had he not checked up. Like he literally jumped in front of him to go into the corner to catch the outside line. And you called it really well, man. Good racecraft on Hunter's part to check up.
For sure, that was some heads-up riding. Yeah, the section we're talking about is at the very top of Mount Martin, and Sexton chose the double and just squirt towards the outside, where Hunter was like, do I go inside, outside? Because he was on the rider's right of Chase. And yeah, he kind of had to check up there for a second, but great heads-up riding, because if he would have darted towards that inside, that would have been one nasty collision.
Yeah, man. It's interesting watching Chase kind of get going each moto, first and second. Because at first you don't think he's just going to ditch everybody by the end of the moto. But he really just finds speed almost lap after lap after lap.
Yeah, and it's cool to see him string. I mean, this is his 5th consecutive moto win. 2nd overall or 3rd overall in a row. Dominated Redbud, pretty much dominated Spring Creek as well. I know he didn't lead wire to wire. He had to make some passes. I think he was like 3rd or 4th off the start. I had to pass his teammate Aaron Plessinger, who went down. That was kind of a bummer to see because Plessinger had a great line against Dylan Ferrandis down Mount Martin as well. So Plessinger was on it this weekend.
He did. He was just like hopping down that damn thing.
Yeah. There was many lines throughout the track. I mean, we were watching earlier Haiden Deegan and Joe Shimoda using this single into a left-hander right before the catapult. Yeah, there's just a lot of cool and creative, unique lines out on the track.
Yeah, man. I remember we were sitting here watching, I think a 2014 video maybe of James Stewart ripping at that track. And we were just so blown away at his lines. And now it seems like everybody's riding James' lines now. Almost. Like at that time, that was only James doing that. But he was jumping the bumps and timing them. And now you get to watch Sexton and Shimoda and Deegan and all these guys catching these same triples through the Millville Whoop section, or like you said, that section for the catapult, kind of stepping up into that corner. And like, it's really rad to watch.
Difference in riding technique. I think of a guy like Eli Tomac, who's kind of more like a bulldog. Like that dude just will plow through a set of bumps. Like they're not even there. Like the ground will literally shake if you're standing close enough, and Eli Tomac's going by on the track. Or then you watch a guy like a Chase Sexton or a Jet Lawrence are kind of like kind of hopping and timing the bumps, like kind of like what you were saying.
Dude, gotta hit up and highlight Jason Anderson with another 4.4. He's been so consistent all season, and I'm sure he wants to do better, and I would like to see him do better, but the only people beating him are the top dogs in the class.
Yeah.
He's consistently showing that if they make any mistake, he'll be right there to capitalize on it. So, dude, great for him, man. Like, I don't think his name often gets brought up as often, and he is right there keeping him honest.
Yeah, what I saw when I saw Jason Anderson's result sheet was he went 4-4 for 5th overall. Sometimes the math just works out that way, but it just seemed as if Jason just had an odd day from the get-go. Like the whole crashing incident in qualifying, and then he flipped over the bars right then and after. It's kind of goofy, and it's almost one of those inexplicable moments. Like I have my own, and I'm going to keep that to myself. That's very personal with dirt bikes. But it seems like we all have them at one point or another, no matter how good you are.
Yeah.
And it bit Jason on Saturday, that's for sure.
Yeah, good to see him rebound from that and just put in two killer motos.
That could have definitely been a day where it's just like, F it, screw it. But he came out and he showed some good speed. We were watching the highlights again, and he was up Mount Martin just getting the power to the ground. Like that rear wheel, he was on the throttle and pressuring the pegs so freaking hard that the front end couldn't help but creep up just a little bit. And yeah, it's just cool to see him do that, because I think he's one of the guys that really knows how to get the power to the ground. Like I think of Ryan Villapoto, who also raced a KX450 and was like the master at that. I mean, I don't know how many photos that you can go online and see of Ryan Villapoto, and he's doing like this power wheelie, like out of the corner, or down a straightaway.
Good point.
And it just kind of seems like Jason has a little bit of that Villapoto style.
Dude, Dylan Ferrandis, 6'6". He's getting
Steady.
better and better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. It's you know what's crazy, I think, is there's only 4 rounds of the season left to go. And I don't think Dylan's been on the podium yet. So my question to you is, do you think Dylan will get a podium before the end of the season?
Man, I think that's a tall order. He's definitely getting faster. I don't know if he's going to find that additional speed to be able to finish out the moto on the podium. I could see him running top 3 early in the moto, but I don't know if he'll be able to hold up to the rest of the guys, because Chase Sexton's going to finish strong. Hunter Lawrence is. Plessinger's shown he will as well. Justin Cooper. And we don't know who else might be coming back than the star guys are.
That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be coming back in the next 2 rounds, I want to say. If they do decide to come back, who knows? But yeah, I mean, it's a tall order. And I only ask that because, like, Dylan's won this class before, not just an overall or a moto win, the championship. Like this, it's just mind-boggling to me that a dude who won the championship just 3 short years ago, back in 2021, might not even get a podium in 2024.
Crazy. And it's not even the full class.
Yeah, exactly. we're missing guys too.
Exactly.
It just goes to show, like, even though we are missing some marquee athletes in this 450 class, that there's still plenty of depth.
Yeah, big time. It really does, man. Because really, in that top 10 of riders, it's all like past champions.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, man, what a deep field. So much fun to watch. But the 250 class has really strengthened their depth of field the past couple of years as well, man. And as you alluded to, they're definitely like the highlight of the weekend now.
Oh, yeah.
To watch.
There's no shortage of drama. It's almost like the best reality TV show ever. Like we got drama, we got great racing, we got guys having up and down motos. Like Moto 2 was just crazy because pretty much the entire group of riders who did great in Moto 1 or are just established Moto winners, podium threats, had a bad Moto 2. Like I think Tom Vialle went down. We saw Chance Hymas go out with an injury, unfortunately. Haiden Deegan rebounded very nicely after that first turn crash and pile up. Did. Yeah, I mean, to get 4th with that bent exhaust, like who knows how the bike was performing after that. I mean, that was just unreal. Then Ty Masterpool was involved with that crash as well. So just kind of seemed like an up and down day, but overall, like, especially that 250 Moto 1 was just pretty unreal. Cause I think it was like, was Kitchen gonna win? Is Deegan gonna win? Is Shimoda gonna win? He came through the pack. So it's just like all over the place. Yeah.
I'm glad to see Kitchen seem to finally found himself in a good place in both motos and not a part of just the shit that happened in both motos. Before then, it seemed like he was often caught up in that or around it that affected some of his result. What stood out to me, man, is just he really held his own first moto. He had pressure from almost everybody, and he held it and kept first and never let go once he got into that position.
He took advantage of Deegan going down in the right-hander before the finish line and really didn't look back. Like, he had some pressure from Tom at some points. Shimoda worked his way into second, and nothing really seemed to phase him. Like, that Kitchen was just riding his race, doing his own laps, and it seemed to be like he was at that level of performance that we saw in the Supercross season and at Fox Raceway. At Fox Raceway, I mean, he was right on Haiden Deegan and went 2-2. You know, we haven't really seen that level of performance since. Yeah, right? It's almost easy to forget about because his performances between Fox Raceway and Millville were kind of lackluster, not really there. And yeah, it's cool to see him back on form. And we're going into his hometown, literally his hometown track at Washougal. So I think this is just the start of something good for the chef. I mean, he was cooking last weekend, and I think he's going to be cooking this weekend as well.
I hope so, man. Yeah, hopefully he's just got some really good confidence and momentum from the past weekend, and now he's got even more going back to his hometown.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great race between Deegan and Levi. I mean, Levi knows that track like the back of his hand, so I think he's got the ball in his court as far as the home turf advantage.
Yeah.
But Deegan had an unreal ride there in 2023. I mean, he went 1-1, really gave it to Hunter Lawrence that day. And
that's what you're saying. This can be a battle.
It's going to be a battle to the death.
Yeah, and that Washougal track, it's got some good traction, but I think it really has some slippery spots out there. It'd be interesting to see if he doesn't maybe overpush it a little bit. But I think Levi may have the edge just because of his time there.
Yeah.
But, you know, as we know, home rider doesn't always go the fastest.
Give and take with the home turf advantage, right? I mean, hometown crowd adds a lot of pressure, but then again, you're probably comfortable being in the environment with your friends, your family, the track that you grew up racing at. So it's a double-edged sword, but at the end of the day, I mean,
I'd rather take home track advantage than not home track advantage.
For sure.
If I think of it that way. So, okay.
For sure. But yeah, let's touch on Deegan real quick. When it's your year, it's your year. I mean, to go down in the first turn like that and then just not have the best Moto 1 after leading the first couple laps, to still get it second overall and go 3-4 on the day, I mean, great results. And he extended the points lead. It's like almost like he can't do no wrong.
Yeah, and even though a lot of things pretty much went wrong that day, that race day for him, that shows you that, especially what a lot of the older generation really pushes on, is you finish the race. You get back on your bike, no matter where you are, and you get all the points you can. Carmichael touches on that a lot. And it's cool to see Haiden just have that never say die attitude and keep going. Because at the end of the day, I hope he sits down and looks at that result and goes, fuck yeah, I earned that and I deserve that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the 1-1 he probably wanted, but like you said, a second place overall, extend the points lead. That's... Man, you made do of a really tough hand over the weekend. That was out of his control. Man, but besides that, what a huge mix-up in points. I mean, Tom Vialle went second place first moto, 17th second moto. I feel like his opportunities to cement himself as like the guy, he hasn't been able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that ship has definitely sailed. I feel like that sailed pretty early on in the season, it seemed like. Just because Haiden has been such a dominant force within this class. I mean, not only on the track, but off the track as well. Like some of the comments that he's made about other athletes in the 250 class. I mean, the dude just pretty much owns these guys, it seems like, in a sense. And yeah, I like what you said there because, like, second is a great result. Don't want to take anything away from Tom, but like he's got so many more years on these guys as far as experience in racecraft, traveling around the world, racing in different places. I do almost expect maybe a little bit more out of him.
Casey Cochran going 9-2. I mean, I know a lot of riders went down, but awesome for the rookie.
He led a good chunk of Moto 2, which is a big deal just because, I mean, you have the weather delay that really throws off things as well. And I feel like for Casey, maybe we should have seen this coming. I don't know about leading the Moto and getting the second and maybe a third overall. But, I mean, his fastest qualifier at Hangtown, he showed some speed. And for him to run up front, get some valuable learning lessons running up front as well. I mean, kudos to the kid because he's a rookie and Rockstar Factory Husqvarna team, they expect a lot. So good on him for going out there and really earning that ride.
Yeah, what a good just rookie season for him so far. I hope he's really pleased with his results so far. I'm sure he wants to do better and maybe expects a little more, but overall, it seems like what a good rookie year of just getting out there, racing with these guys, getting some good finishes, good experience with them to lead into Supercross season, not too far away. What do you think of Shimoda, man? He seems to be warming up extremely well towards the end of the season. I know his second moto finish isn't what he wanted, but just the way he raced the entire day was so much fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a bummer to see his Moto 2 just be like one train wreck after another, pretty much. He had to go in and swap out the front wheel because that front brake rotor disc was all bent out of shape. So that was kind of a bummer. And he ultimately did not score any points in Moto 2. But Moto 1, man, I mean, what a charge up towards the front. Like, I was pretty convinced that he was going to win that Moto. But unfortunately, just some wrong place, wrong time with the lappers. Just kind of got held up and was out of his rhythm there for a little bit. Eventually got repassed by Haiden Deegan. It's a bit of a bummer, but at the same time, I feel like for Joe, there's a lot of positives as far as take the positives out of how you are riding, not necessarily out of the result on paper.
He just seems like the type of rider that just continues to get better with time. Not like maybe huge burst of it, but just each weekend he gets just a little bit better, a little bit better. And I think he's gonna be a really fun rider to watch as he continues to mature on the bike and just in that class.
Let's switch gears here a little bit. We're going into Washougal. Pretty hard pack track. Also some big jumps, some elevation changes as well. We had something pretty similar as far as elevation changes and big jumps at Millville, but obviously the dirt and the soil is completely different between the two.
Yeah, Millville looked pretty deep.
Yeah, gnarly. I'd imagine they had to run their suspension pretty stiff.
For sure. I think a lot of settings they were previously running just up into that round were pretty much very similar from Budds Creek and then Southwick. Just the past couple tracks they've been riding has been pretty deep in terms of the soil and just how loose the terrain is, especially compared to Washougal where they're going to. It'll have a nice, let's say, qualifying and maybe first moto kind of top layer to it, but that'll quickly push to the side and show the kind of hard packed terrain underneath that. And that is not nearly as tacky or sticky as you would think it would be. And also your rolling resistance is a lot less because you don't have really dirt in the way. You're just rolling on hard ground. So with that in mind, they're probably going to go maybe just a hair softer on the compression, just a little bit overall. They're not going to have as much rolling resistance against the bike as they just ride around the track. And mainly that's going to be the main differentiator. So you just don't need as much compression into it. If we had to articulate that, maybe it'd be just a little bit less spring rate and just a little bit less compression damping. How much is going to kind of vary per rider. And I think some riders might change the bike quite a bit. Other ones would just be kind of minorly, and that'll strictly depend on their preference. Some riders change bikes a lot. Other ones are more preferring to adapt their riding style to the different tracks that they go to.
That was my question. You kind of answered it right then and there, but I was going to say, do you think they could take the same valving or same spec in the fork and shock from that they've been running at maybe Southwick, even Spring Creek, and run it at Washougal, and maybe just kind of get away with going softer on the compression as far as the clickers, or would they have to revalve it between the two tracks?
Yeah, I could see that being at least a starting point for qualifying or like practice and qualifying and maybe in first moto. And then as the track evolves over time, the rider's going to have feedback on how to adjust it. So I could see most likely the Moto 2 setting being the most different from the setting they had leading into that from the previous race and starting the day. And that's just because the track is going to be so different in Moto 2 at Washougal than the tracks that they've been racing on for the past 4 to 5 rounds.
Washougal, 250, 450 class, who are you picking?
Chase Sexton. I want to see him keep doing what he's doing because that's what we kind of expected him to do, to show that he is the next guy in the class. So I hope he continues with another 1-1. And maybe not like a whole shot 1-1, but let's see him get a good start and have to work his way through the guys. It's fun watching him race everybody and pass them through that. I see Hunter Lawrence being a solid second place finish. And then for this track, Jason Anderson for third.
Nice.
Because I think AP might override it and slide out. For 250 class, I think Levi and Haiden swap moto wins. I have no idea who's going to go 1-2. Man, if I had to choose, I'm going to say Kitchen with the moto win second moto because maybe Haiden slides out in a corner and just pushes a little too much. For third place, a strong showing from Tom Vialle. He wants to have a nice comeback ride after last weekend.
I like it. 450 class, I'm going to go Hunter Lawrence. I think he needs to really stop the Sexton ship right now. I mean, it's 13 points between Chase and Hunter, so there's not that much of a gap, but then again, it's at that point where it's like you don't want to get over that 20 or that 25 mark, because before then, with only 4 rounds to go, it's not a lot of time to make that up. So I'm going to say Hunter Lawrence goes out and gets the overall, makes up some points on Chase. I'm going to slide in Chase for second. I think he's going to be right there, but I think Hunter Lawrence will edge him out just a little bit. And then I'm going to go Justin Cooper, third. I like it. Back-to-back podiums for Cooper. He got on the podium at Millville. I think he's going to follow it up this weekend at Washougal.
Okay, I like it.
250 class, I'm going to go, I'll go Levi Kitchen. I'm going to match you on that one. I'm going to go Haiden Deegan second. But I'm going to switch it up a little bit and add Joe Shimoda in the third spot.
Nice. Yeah, he definitely... What a solid contender as well.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in for this week's episode of the JBI Race Recap. This is the Spring Creek Recap Show / Washougal Prediction Show. So this is also available on Spotify if you don't know already. So both YouTube and Spotify, you can watch the video and audio only versions. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the next one.